Finally nice to not be on the swearing in side of the swearing in, because the last 3 times we did this, I was in on the swearing in side.
Well, you didn't enjoy it?
Oh no, it's fun, but you got to give someone else a chance, right?
Yeah.
But you've never done it virtually, right, Tim?
No. My niece just got sworn into the Space Command.
Oh, really?
Yep, and it was all done virtually. We got to watch. It was really cool.
What's her position?
She started out in the Air Force, and she can't talk a lot about what she does, but she works in a little room where they track all the missile launches around the world.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
So she is now part of the Space Force?
Yeah, so her whole squadron, division, not quite sure what level, got moved over into the Space Force.
So any predictions on when the Georgia Senate runoff elections will be decided? What day of January or February?
It's going right now. They're going pretty slow though. And it's the last thing I saw, it was real close.
With all the absentees, I think the presidential one took a long time, so I'm sure it will be a repeat of most of that. Good to see you, Jack.
What's that?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I wasn't prepared for all these odd backgrounds.
I've been in this thing too long.
Yes.
Tim will change his every 20 seconds to a different sci-fi stage.
I have a new one. I'll put it up for you right now, Keith.
So Chief Growth, what do you have there? Looks like a little bit of snow in Central Oregon, or
Like hunting.
hunting?
That is elk. This is a picture of elk country in Eastern Oregon.
Okay.
Were you successful, Chief?
Everybody's definition of success is different. So there's your answer. No, I did not come home with anything extra, but as always, you have an amazing time.
Yep.
Where in Eastern Oregon did you go?
So this picture is from Starkey.
Okay.
That's where we go.
Keith, there's a new
For
background.
those that
for you.
wonder where Starkey is, it's southwest of La Grande.
So Councilor
Let's see that.
Rosner, what is that?
That is from the movie, a classic, Mel Brooks,
Ah,
Baseballs.
yep.
Are we all here?
I don't see Russell. Oh, there I
I'm
see
here.
him. Sorry.
Hi, see me.
Where's Kim?
She's not on the list.
I just got a text from Kim. Her Wi-Fi is rebooting. She'll be on in a second.
Okay. So Councilor Rosner, is it safe to say if you were, I know you were in the Air Force, if you had a choice, would you be a Space Force person if the Space Force existed back then?
Probably not. I would do it over again the same way I did it. I worked in combat rescue, which was awesome. It was great. I wouldn't do it any different.
Just with many of your backgrounds are space related, so.
I think that's more of a symptom of where I was stationed, because I was stationed at Vandenberg Air Force Base for a long time, and they do a lot of polar orbit satellite launches there.
Yep.
Is that Fairbanks?
Awesome.
Sorry,
We're all here.
there's Kim.
There's Kim.
We are on YouTube, looks like. Sylvia's ready. We're all ready. All right. I'd call to order our regular city council meeting for January 5th, 2021. Happy New Year. Will everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the
I-
flag
flag of the United States
of America
and
and to the
to
republic
which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
Justice for
with
all.
liberty,
liberty,
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Thanks, everyone. Sylvia, roll call.
Mayor Mays,
Here.
Council President Rosner,
Here,
Councilor Garland,
Here.
Councilor Browse,
Here.
Councilor Griffin,
Here.
Councilor Young,
Here,
Councilor Scott.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. We have approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Kim, seconded by Russell. Discussion, none. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. We have 5 items on our consent agenda this evening. Item A is approval of the December 15th, 2020 City Council meeting minutes. Item B is Resolution 2021-001, amending the employment contract between the city attorney and the city of Sherwood. Item C is Resolution 2021-002, authorizing the issuance of gift certificates to members of the city's boards and commissions. That's in lieu of a normal dinner that we do for the celebrating in the holidays. Resolution 2021-003, amending the employment contract between the city manager and the city of Sherwood. Item E is Resolution 2021-004, authorizing the city manager to execute an intergovernmental agreement with Metro to accept a 2040 planning and development grant to fund the Sherwood West Relook project.
I move consent.
second.
Moved by Renee, seconded by Tim. Discussion? All in favor of the consent agenda as the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. Citizen comments. During this pandemic and these COVID days, we take citizen comments in advance of the meeting and read them normally for up to 4 minutes during the city council meeting. So Sylvia, we have 1 citizen comment for tonight, right?
That's correct.
Would you be willing to read up to 4 minutes of it?
Absolutely. So if Joe or someone can time me, I have probably a page and a half to go through. So that would be great.
I will.
That's okay too.
This letter was submitted to the City Council from Megan and Kylie Rose Walmsley. The letter reads, while we stand together virtually during this difficult time of the COVID-19 pandemic, more and more businesses in our small community are closing their doors for good. Here in Sherwood, Oregon, we are very fortunate that many of our citizens have come together to help one another and have tried to support our local businesses. Regrettably, our community support just isn't enough. We were just notified that our Sherwood Ice Arena, a long-standing place for our children to come together, is losing the battle to stay open. The Sherwood Ice Arena is a staple of our community, and we are heartbroken. We need to protect our community from this awful virus. The need to protect our community from this awful virus is understandable, and I believe we all know we are not in a position to judge the decision on what needs to be opened or closed. I just know something needs to be done to save our community businesses that are having to shut down. The Sherwood Ice Arena has greatly contributed to the community. Not only have they provided a safe environment for families to recreate and have fun, they have supported several hockey leagues for both youth and adults, taught many of our families how to ice skate, and have had several years of putting on ice skating competitions. The Sherwood Ice Arena has been doing this for now over 20 years. They need to be supported during this time of need. My 7-year-old daughter overheard my husband and I talking about this difficult situation, and she was so sad. She wanted to do something about it, and this is why I'm writing to you today. I recorded a video of her speaking to our mayor, who she believes is one who can fix all issues. In her words to Mayor Mays, hi, Mayor Mays. I'm Kylie Rose Walmsley. I'm a citizen of Sherwood, and I wanted to save the ice arena because people love it, and some people want to actually go there someday. The people in Sherwood don't want to say goodbye. We love the ice arena, and people do hockey. They do ballerina shows with skating. We want to save the ice arena because we love doing stuff there. Thank you for your time and listening. Bye. Immediately after recording this video, she instant messaged her friends and asked them if they could get their piggy banks together so that she would get hers and maybe they could save the ice arena. Now this is one child who has only gone ice skating once at the Sherwood Ice Arena. She has spent many days watching hockey and ice skating competitions from up above the rink after taking her dance classes. She's always been so interested in ice skating and hockey. I know she is not alone in feeling this heartbreak. The Sherwood Ice Arena isn't a business that is taking advantage of the system or even asking for a handout. In fact, they don't even know I'm writing this to you. I truly believe they just want to survive the shutdown so they can continue to be an integral part of our community. We implore you, please find some way to help them, whether it is a grant or long-term loan, or whether it is providing some way they can run their business with minimal people coming to skate at a time. Please find a way to save the Sherwood Ice Arena. Thank you for your time. Regards, Megan and Kylie Rose Walmsley.
Thank you, Sylvia, and thank you, Megan and Kylie Rose. That was a wonderful letter, and we'll talk about what we've been doing to advocate and support our businesses between city manager comments and council announcements at the end of our meeting. So thank you so very much. And I don't do social media, so I have not seen that video. I might have to lean on one of my counselors who's social media savvy and involved, so I can see Kylie Rose's video. Because yeah, I don't do that. Moving on, under presentations, I don't know if that's the right area, but swearing in of elected officials. And with us today is our wonderful municipal court judge, Judge Jack Morris.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Been a tough one.
We're all getting, yes, we are all getting grayer. I don't think you looked quite like that when I first met you, young man.
Well, that was a long time ago, my friend. 25 years, I think, just about. Who would you like to do first?
Judge's privilege.
Okay, well, why don't we do Councilor Browse? Councilor, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, there you go. Raise your right hand for me, please. I, Renee Browse, do solemnly swear
I, Renee Browse, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon,
and the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon,
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the responsibilities bestowed upon me
discharge the responsibilities that have been bestowed upon me
as a city councilor of the city of Sherwood.
as a city councilor for the city of Sherwood.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Councilor Garland?
I am here.
Okay. If you'd raise your right hand for me, please, also. I, Sean Garland, do solemnly swear
I, Sean Garland, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon,
and the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon,
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the responsibilities bestowed upon me
discharge the responsibilities bestowed upon me
as a city councilor of the city of Sherwood.
as a city councilor of the city of Sherwood.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
I was tempted to ask for some musical accompaniment given the background that we have
I
there.
just got a new amp today, but I haven't had a chance to plug it in yet. So
Oh, well, maybe next time.
next time, yeah. Call me in 4 years.
All right. How about Councilor Young?
I'm ready.
Okay. You got your right hand up?
I
I,
do.
Kim Young, do solemnly swear
I, Kim Young, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon
and the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the responsibilities bestowed upon me
discharge the responsibilities bestowed upon me
as a city councilor of the city of Sherwood.
as a city councilor of the city of Sherwood.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And last and certainly not least, Mr. Mayor. Say
All right.
something.
I'm
There you
here.
go. Okay. All right, you got your right hand up. I, Keith Mays, do solemnly swear
I, Keith Mays, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon
and the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the responsibilities bestowed upon me. Discharge the responsibilities
Discharge the
bestowed upon me
bestowed upon me
as a mayor of the city of Sherwood.
as mayor of the city of Sherwood.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Judge.
So I would like to tell all of you, this is one of the things that I consider, it's just a really fun thing for me to do. And I think you all deserve some congratulations. You always have to make some, you always have to give up things to do public service. And when you participate in public service in a time like we have now, I think you deserve some extra recognition. So congratulations to all of you.
Thanks, Jack.
I
Yeah, go ahead.
just want to say I really do have my right hand up, even though everybody else is the opposite side. I think I have my camera mirrored. So while it looks like I have the opposite of everybody else, it really is my right hand.
It looked like your right hand to me, Kim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks great. So yes, Jack, it's always great to see you, and glad you're doing well, and hopefully we will all be able to do this, get together in person as a council in the not too distant future.
I hope so too.
Next under or on our agenda under new business is selection of a city council president. It's an annual post. Tim Rosner served this past year very well. I appreciated everything that he has done to support myself and our council and our community. But that was last year. So for 2021, are there any nominations from council for council president?
I believe I had my hand up first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even have the little one thing.
I would like to nominate once again Tim Rosner to once again be our council president.
Thank you.
I would
Russell.
second that.
Thank you, Russell. Tim, are you accepting the
I-
nomination?
I will accept the nomination. And thank you, Kim and Russell. Appreciate that.
Is there a second? Or is there any other? Is there a second nomination?
I would nominate Renee Browse.
Thank you, Doug. Renee, would you like to accept the nomination?
I would love to accept the nomination, but I'm pretty certain that Tim has it in the bag, so I will decline. But thank you, Doug. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Doug. Any other nominations? Going once, going twice. No, I will close the floor for nominations. We have just Tim. We don't need to hear from Tim. So we'll do a vote, and I'll just do a voice vote since there's just one. All in favor of Tim being council president for 2021, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion, Tim, congratulations, council president for 2021.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you, everyone else. I have to say, I really love working with this council. I think it says a lot that all three incumbents were reelected this round in November. I think it says a lot about how the council works together, and that overall the community is very happy with what we're doing and how we manage the city and the community. So thank you very much, and I look forward to this next year.
Well said, Tim. And yeah, great to have everyone back. Yeah, great reflection on our council, I believe.
I'm getting a lot of feedback. Can somebody else?
It's Bruce. Bruce, mute.
So Bruce, if you're listening, could you mute your microphone? Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Joe and I tried to text him, but he was busy.
It's quite all right. We have next on our agenda is public hearings. Sylvia, would you like to read what we should read for public hearings?
Yes. So the Sherwood City Council will hold a public hearing this evening to receive testimony on ordinance 2020-008, approving annexation of 10.90 acres to the city of Sherwood and 10.50 acres to clean water services within the TONQUIN employment area, comprised of one tax lot and the adjacent Southwest Oregon Street and Southwest TONQUIN Road right-of-way. The hearing this evening will be conducted as follows. Staff will present a staff report. Questions, if any, by the council for staff. We will then receive the written testimony. We will then close the public hearing. No other comments or written testimony will be received. Final comments by staff. Questions of any for staff by the council, followed by council discussion. This is the first hearing before the city council on this item. Generally, the council will hold 2 hearings prior to making a decision. The second hearing on this item is currently scheduled for January the 19th. However, in accordance with the city charter, council reserves the right to make a decision at the close of this hearing by a unanimous vote of all city and council members.
Thank you, Sylvia. Eric, floor is you.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Mays and city councilors. Happy to be with you. Happy New Year to everybody. I don't know if anyone has shared their screen yet on Zoom, but I may be taking the first stab here.
Good work.
All right, and let's go to full view. There we go. Okay, are we rolling there? Everything good?
Looks fantastic. Nice work.
All right, great. So yes, good evening. I'll be giving the staff presentation for poly annexation, which is land use case number 2020-010-AN. My name is Eric Rutledge, Associate Planner with the City of Sherwood. The applicant is seeking approval from the City of Sherwood to annex 10.9 acres of land to the city and 10.5 acres of land to clean water services. The applicant is requesting the annexation utilizing the procedures in SB 1573. Under this method, the annexation does not require a vote by the city electorate. However, the petition must be signed by all affected property owners and meet certain approval criteria, which I'll go over during this presentation. This is a type 5 application with the city council as the hearing authority. We've had a few different hearings or continuances on this application. So I just want to clarify that this is the first reading of this petition. Public notice of the application was provided in accordance with local, regional, and state requirements, including mailed notice to property owners within 1,000 feet of the site. As of this afternoon, no written public comments were received on the application. As mentioned, we've continued the hearing a few times now. The dates are shown there on the right. Just want to clarify that we did provide public notice for each continuation as required by the noticing requirements shown there on the left. The property is part of the Tonkin Employment Area, or TEA, which was brought into the urban growth boundary in 2004. To date, the city has approved 4 annexations in the TEA, totaling approximately 163 acres. Those would be all the parcels there shown in orange. If the subject application is approved, that total will increase to 173 acres, representing approximately 58% of the total land area in the TEA. The unannexed parcels that are remaining are those in light blue, and then the subject site is down at the west corner of the TEA. The subject site is located at the southwest and southeast corners of Oregon Street and Tonquin Road intersection. The property on the east side, so that larger portion, is currently used by the applicant for operation of an industrial business. The remainder of that larger parcel is grassland and forest. The smaller portion on the west side, southwest corner, is in the Tonquin, the Rock Creek floodplain. As stated, the applicant is requesting to annex 10.9 acres to the city and 10.5 acres to Clean Water Services. Both annexations would include 1.37 acres of right-of-way. That's the area shown here in purple. There are 3 levels of review criteria for annexations: local, regional, and state. The applicable criteria are shown here for reference. In terms of the local criteria, Chapter 3 and Chapter 8 of the city's comprehensive plan apply. Chapter 3 addresses growth management. Chapter 8 addresses UGB expansions. The annexation of the parcel will allow orderly expansion of the city boundary and extension of public services without leapfrogging other developable property. As a visual, this is just a little snip from the Tonkin Employment Area phasing plan, and it shows that the assumed phase 1 is in yellow and phase 2 is in blue. And so we've already annexed what you're seeing there. C in yellow has already been annexed. Also a portion of A down at the bottom left corner. And so generally the annexation history to date has been following the phasing plan, which is good news in terms of the order of development. The site is included in the TEA concept plan as mentioned, and upon annexation, the property will be zoned employment industrial. Any future development would be subject to the employment industrial development code standards. These are the policies in the comp plan. I won't go over all of them in detail. They're just here for reference. If you have any questions on these, we can certainly come back to them. In terms of the regional approval criteria, that criteria requires boundary changes to be consistent with any applicable local plans, as well as any intergovernmental agreements. The city is also required to consider how the boundary change may affect the quality and quantity of urban services. Urban services include sanitary sewer, water, fire protection, and roads. City staff has reviewed the urban services and determined it's feasible to service the site as indicated in the staff report and engineering comments. The public improvements necessary to accommodate development of the TEA have been assumed in the TEA concept plan and also the city's sanitary sewer, stormwater, and water master plans. Regarding police and fire service, upon annexation, the property will be removed from the Washington County Enhanced Service Patrol District and will receive police services from the Sherwood Police Department. The property is currently served by Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue Station 33, which is just down the road on Oregon Street. The fire service will not be impacted by the annexation. And then finally, the state criteria, as mentioned, the proposal is coming in under the SB 1573 method. Under that approval criteria, the site and application must meet the approval criteria shown here on this slide, including being within the urban growth boundary, being contiguous to city limits, and subject to the city's comprehensive plan. As I just went over, all of those criteria are met. Since the city already received services from Clean Water Services, the property will also be annexed to that district boundary per ORS 199.51. As mentioned, no public comments were received on the application. The council alternatives for this evening, council can choose to adopt ordinance 2020-008 with a unanimous vote tonight during the first public hearing. The council can hold the first public hearing tonight and issue a decision after the second reading on January 19th. Or the council can choose not to adopt ordinance 2020-008 and direct staff to prepare a final order with revised findings that deny the annexation request. And that concludes the staff presentation.
Thanks, Eric. Questions for Eric?
And we do have the applicant here as well if you have any questions when that time comes.
Okay, great. Any questions of staff? Okay. Would the applicant like to say anything? You're welcome to. You don't have to. No obligation.
Thank you. My name is Mimi Dukas. I'm with AKS Engineering. I'm here on behalf of Bruce and Karen Polly, the applicants for the annexation before you this evening. Staff did a thorough overview of the criteria, and the criteria for an annexation is pretty straightforward. Property needs to be adjacent to the city within the urban growth boundary. It needs to have urban services, sewer, water, and you need a willing applicant. So we've met all those criteria. We're very happy to be before you this evening. And we are hopeful that we will receive approval tonight, and it would be lovely if we can get it in such a fashion that we might be able to get a full approval tonight in one reading. But we leave that to your discretion, obviously. Happy to answer any questions that you have, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mimi. Any questions for the applicant? Yeah, I think, like you said, it's quite straightforward, which is great. Great to have another property owner wanting to join our community in our Tonquin employment area. And there is no one else. There was no written testimony for this public hearing, correct? Sylvia or Eric? Awesome.
Correct.
Just want to make sure that, so with that, we'll close the public hearing portion of this public hearing, and council discuss amongst yourselves or ask more questions of staff.
I have my hand raised, so I was just going to ask if they're requesting we do this in one reading, which typically things like this we like to do in two readings just to give the public the opportunity to weigh in. Again, this is an annexation based on that 1573. So, but this also has been continued since, when was the first time we saw it? November, October? September.
It's been on the agenda. I think this is the fourth time.
Yeah. So, and we've received no comments on any of those times it was on the agenda. So I would think public's probably had pretty ample amount of time to weigh in if they had any concerns. So I would be okay with one reading if council thought that was good.
Okay. Anybody? Tim's hands up. Tim?
I was just going to agree with Kim. I'm fine with one reading. There's been plenty of opportunities for the public to weigh in, and the plans for the Tonquin employment area have been out there for a long time. So.
Yep, and the community voted to authorize annexation for the entire area as well, which is great. Any other comments, questions? So I think there's anyone not supportive of doing one reading?
I'm supportive of doing it in one reading. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't.
Okay, would someone like to do the read, caption, adopt language motion?
Okay. Make a motion to recap and adopt ordinance 2020-008, approving annexation of 10.90 acres to the city of Sherwood and 10.50 acres to clean water services within the Tonquin employment area, comprised of one tax slot and adjacent Southwest Oregon Street and Southwest Tonquin Road right away.
Thank you, Renee. Is there a second?
Second.
Tim seconded. Sylvia?
Ordinance 2020-008, approving annexation of 10.90 acres to the city of Sherwood and 10.50 acres to clean water services within the Tonquin employment area, comprised of one tax slot and the adjacent Southwest Oregon Street and Southwest Tonquin Road right away. Councilor Scott, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilor Griffin?
Aye.
Councilor Browse?
Aye.
Councilor Young?
Aye.
Councilor Garland?
Aye.
Council President Rosner?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Eric and Mimi, and the applicant. Great to have you part of our community officially, even though, you know, we certainly think of all of our neighbors just outside of town as part of our greater community. Next on our agenda is city manager report. Joe?
Mayor and council, I have one item and then obviously answer any questions that council might have. The item I want to briefly talk about is not really directed at the council. It's more to the community. And I know Mayor Mays talked earlier in the meeting about what the city's been doing to help our businesses, but I've been receiving some questions from citizens, some just trying to understand why the city, why in this case, the city manager keeps extending the state of emergency every week, and some confusion about what that truly means. And I think I've heard from a couple citizens in town that think that by extending the state of emergency, that somehow the city is responsible for closing businesses or restricting businesses, and that if we somehow lifted the state of emergency, then businesses would be free to operate any way they want. So I kind of just want to clarify or remind people the primary reasons. Our code has a whole section on emergencies, but a state of emergency exists when two things are met. One, the situation requires a coordinated response beyond that which occurs routinely. And I would argue that we're still in that situation, not operating in a routine manner and coordinating with our county and state officials. And then the second is that the required response cannot be achieved solely with the added resources acquired through mutual aid or cooperative assistance agreements. And I think that is still the case, obviously. One of the reasons cities around the state of Oregon continue to operate in a state of emergency is it allows us to have access to state and federal funds, disaster funds, that if we were not in a state of emergency, it would be more difficult to access those funds. And our code requires after the initial 2-week period that it has to be extended every week. So every Monday morning, basically, I make a decision, and thanks to Josh Soper's help, he drafts the document, but I extend the state every week, and I've been doing that routinely since the pandemic started. if we magically decided not to declare a state of emergency, all of the restrictions that the governor has made in her executive orders that restrict business activities would still happen. And I think there's some confusion, and I just wanted to be kind of educational to remind folks, because when I've told folks that have reached out to me and explained that, they basically say, oh, I didn't understand. And that's helpful, and thank me for that explanation. So I wanted to touch on that tonight. I know the mayor and council are going to talk about other things that we're doing to help our businesses. I think the reason we're getting those questions 10 months into the pandemic, there's a tremendous amount of legitimate concern about some of our businesses in town who are still closed, and whether or not those businesses will be able to weather this storm and be in business when we come out of this pandemic, which we are going to come out of in hopefully the next few months. So I wanted to touch on that during my city manager report and answer any questions or provide more clarity if council wanted to chime in on that particular issue.
Thanks, Joe. Since we have the honor of having his honor with us today, that's right, Judge Jack. What's the status of municipal court? And what's going on?
Have you been able to see me this whole time?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's disturbing. Okay, somebody. The right thing to do would have been to have said something, right?
I just thought you were making your dinner, and so we were fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the status of municipal court is we are processing a whole bunch of mail. That has turned out to be a big portion of what we do. A lot of people are opting to take care of their tickets that way. It's a big volume. I've been told that the court is going to resume court a week from Friday. What else can I tell you?
Move to the Art Center? Maybe?
Say that again, please.
Are we moving back to the Art Center for court?
I've been told that that's not going to happen.
Okay.
What else can I tell you?
That was my couple main questions.
Okay. Moving to the Art Center, apparently it's available. It seems like it would have been a wise move to me. The floor space, I haven't done any measurements, of course, but the floor space is probably 2 or 3 times what we have in City Hall. When you think about the ceiling height, if you look at it from a cubic perspective, the air volume, I've got to think, is vastly superior to City Hall. It seems to me that would be safer. I'll just be real blunt with you. I'm having a hard time understanding how the court is going to reopen when we're at the height of the pandemic, and when a vaccine is, for most people, probably a couple months away. So I'm having a little difficulty with the whole concept. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer for them.
Great.
I have a question for Joe.
Yeah.
Whose decision was that, and where it could be located if the Art Center does provide more room, if we are in fact adamant about getting back court next Friday?
So the feedback that we received from the court staff in terms of efficiency and the lack of printers and things that operated when they did that back in July, they preferred to stay here for just efficiency purposes. We were operating in November right up to the freeze in this building. So I think based on that staff input, we decided to stay here. So I want to get the court back up and running. I think I understand Judge Jack's concern, but actually cases are going down in our state. We're doing very well in Oregon compared to a lot of other parts of the country. So we have a responsibility to operate a court and to get the court back up and running. We were operating fine up until the freeze on December 1st. Then we shut down, which we needed to do, and now we're trying to get it back up and running. So,
Joe, do we have like plexiglass and gloves and appropriate, you know, the right kind of masks for our staff and the judge and everybody? Okay.
And do we limit the number of cases we see a day, or how do we spread them out in there? Do they wait outside in their car and get called? Or, I mean, I assume.
We limit the numbers and have to comply with OHA guidelines.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, what does that mean? Does that mean do we ask them a questionnaire? Do we take their temperature at the doorway? How do we determine if they're safe to come into the building, or do we not do that?
I don't have the specific OHA guidelines in front of me. I can get that to council. I wasn't prepared to have, this conversation right now, but I can get that. We don't take temperatures. I think there's a questionnaire, like when you go to the doctor and have you had symptoms in the last 14 days and, a lot of the standard things, but we have not done temperature checks in the past. We could certainly institute that. The numbers have been fairly small when the court was operating. These are not hundreds of people coming to court all at once. So obviously we were complying fine up until December 1st, until the freeze. And we've been discussing how to get started again, as the judges said.
Are the doors open?
Are what doors open?
The doors to the side entrance to the court area. Are they open to let the
air in?
I don't believe they've been open. Doesn't mean we couldn't do that. So.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Joe. Joe.
So if I could add, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, the circuit courts in the state of Oregon are doing the vast majority of things by remote. I know that because I'm still a practicing attorney. I do virtually every court appearance by phone.
Can you do municipal court virtually?
It would be difficult. I don't know if it would be impossible or not. The problem is there's small cases. There's a number of them. It's not like you can set it up at a specific time. The other thing I would add is, as it currently stands now, for arraignments, which are the big time-consuming factor, and this will sound misleading, and I'm not trying to put a spin on this, but we have, for instance, on a Friday morning, we have court times of 9, 10, and 11 o'clock with 75 people set for each time. Now, having said that, I want to make clear that that's not how many people show up. The majority of those are resolved before court day. They resolve them by mail. They resolve them by appearing online. It can go down easily to half that or less. So if you have 75 people set on court day, you might have 30 still in the bucket. And of those, maybe half show up. So you have 15. However, I think 15 is still a concerning number. So, if we were faced with an unending, the prospect of a pandemic that wasn't going to end anytime soon, I might feel differently about this. But we're faced with a situation where a vaccine is probably going to be available to the people who need it within a couple months. So I'm having a hard time understanding why we're starting court back up next week.
Thanks, Jack. Joe, can you or your team talk about the grants to businesses that have gone out in the last month to support businesses?
Sure. Julia, you're on the call, I believe. You may be able to.
Yes, I'm here. I just couldn't unmute.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks, Judge.
Thanks, Judge.
Yeah, I guess what do you want to?
Can you briefly describe the program we did over the last 2 weeks in December in terms of the grant program? That's what the mayor was asking about.
Sure. So in December, we did a grant program. We had funds from the county. We solicited applications from businesses that were affected by the 2-week freeze. I'm sorry, I don't have the number. I think it was 60 some businesses that we were able to send grants out to. And then, fairly recently, because we did a huge quick turnaround, we found out early last week, we found out that we had an additional $30,000 that we were able to give out, but we had to use it. We had to commit the funding by the end of 2020. So we basically notified all of the restaurants, the eating and drinking establishments that had been awarded in the December round, that we had the possibility of additional funding, to let us know. I think we gave them less than 24 hours notice, what their needs were. As expected, and as usual, they were much greater than we had money to give, but we were able to give $1,667 to, I can't remember, I don't have the number in front of me in terms of the number of businesses that we granted to, like 19.
I think it was about 20.
Yeah. So yeah, we turned that around. I think we started that Monday and got checks out that Thursday.
Mary,
great job to Julia, to you and your team, you, Bruce, and everyone for. Wow, here's more money that we can award to needy businesses, and you're able to just do it so quickly. So it's a credit to each and every one of you. Plus those businesses, the connection, the relationship that we've established with our businesses that are being challenged, to get them immediately connected to those dollars. So great job.
If I could just add.
That's an example, going back to what I talked about at the beginning of this report, being in the state of emergency, being able to move fast when the county basically said, hey, we've got this extra $48,000. In a normal process, I would have had to come back to council and get your authority and wait for your next meeting. And because purchasing rules and rules are flexible during a state of emergency, I could basically, take action effectively right away to accept that money without having to come back to council and get an official approval. So that's an example that I used recently, that's that flexibility in an emergency to act fast and less bureaucratic. So
great.
Yeah, and if I could just add, I just want to echo what he said. Julia, your staff, and Bruce have just done an amazing job, not just on this most recent grant opportunity that we got out to our businesses in need, but this has been going on since the shutdown started. We were one of the first cities to offer grants to our businesses. And I just really appreciate all the hard work in identifying funds and identifying opportunities, and digging in every single corner you guys could find in terms of state, local, and county, and for that matter, city dollars that we can use to help our businesses out. I think to date, we're over 600,000 that we've given out. Which on a per capita basis is we're beating most of the cities out there in the state. That being said, I also recognize, and I think all of us recognize, it's not enough. We have businesses that are really hurting out there. We need to do more. In parallel, during all that activity, I know myself and the mayor and others on council have been working hard to lobby Salem and the governor's office and Oregon Health Authority and the county to make sure we're being really reasonable in how we look at the closures and what businesses are closed and when they can open. One reason that the skating rink was able to reopen back in early November before they were shut down again, unfortunately, was because of that hard lobbying work that's been done by us and others in the region. And we continue to do that work. We continue to work with the governor's office. And I'm one of the reasons I'm bringing this. I thought it was a good time to talk about this because we had the citizens comment earlier about the ice skating rink. We were in direct contact with the owners of the rink. We're working with them. We're working again with Salem and the governor's office and Oregon Health Authority to figure out ways to get them open safely, because I think there's an argument to be made given the space and given the precautions that they've proposed out there that it can be done safely. So we are working hard on all fronts to weather this. And there's a little focus on the ice rink right now. It's a one-of-a-kind facility in the region, but that doesn't mean we're not focused on our other business as well, our gyms, our entertainment centers, our bowling alleys, our restaurants that are all getting hit by this pandemic. So while we've done a lot, we still got to do more. So.
Other questions for Joe? Or I'll actually, how was public safety over the long holiday stretch between? How are things in our community? Chief?
So Chief Grote's on the call. Why don't you respond to that question, Chief?
Sure, be glad to. Pretty quiet and pretty safe, relatively speaking. We certainly had some peaks and valleys, but overall, we did pretty well.
Great to hear. Other questions for Joe and his team?
So Craig Sheldon's on the call. I mentioned this to the mayor, but we did have a water main break. Craig, do you want to talk about that briefly? Maybe he stepped away.
And we probably caught him running down the hall.
Yep.
So yeah, so do you want to give the brief?
Yeah, we had I forget the term I told the mayor. Do you remember the term?
Saddle connection.
Yeah, it was a saddle connection. It was a 26-year-old piece of equipment that broke on December 30th, which was one of the most rainiest days during the holiday periods. And for a short amount of time, a small segment of the neighborhood did not have water, but Rich Sattler was actually on call. Craig was on vacation, and he and his crews did a really wonderful, quick job to respond to the emergency and to get it fixed. And most people were back up and running within a few hours. And there was a couple houses that were out that we got water, drinking water to them right away. And it was not a fun day for crews to be out working. And I want to give credit to the crews that worked diligently to get the water back up and operating for the neighborhood.
A little windy and a little rainy.
A little windy and a lot rainy that day. I think there was one of those downpour days. So, and I recall, I think, Mayor, I said it was on Willow, I believe.
Yeah, near along Willow, and I can't remember the cross street, but yeah, and that was literally when it was, that neighborhood was built. So surprising that it failed after only 26 years, but stuff happens. Yes. And kudos to city staff for responding quickly and going above and beyond, as far as I'm concerned, to literally deliver drinking water to those families that lost water connection, and then to all hands on deck to get it resolved and operating again, because having drinking water is important, because we have to be hydrated, et cetera, but then there's you still have to have water to flush those toilets, for instance. So
correct. So that was one of the highlights of the holiday in terms of what happened. So, and that doesn't happen very often, fortunately.
Okay. Other questions of Joe or his team?
We did have a brief outage of our broadband, right? A little.
Yes. So Brad is on the call. Brad, do you want to talk about what happened with that brief outage? And
yeah, sorry, getting unmuted here. Yeah, in the morning of the 23rd, actually the evening of the 22nd, late in the evening, 22nd, we had a piece of equipment completely lock up and stop passing traffic. By about 5:30 in the morning, we were on it, troubleshooting the issue, and I think by about 9:30, we had it back up and running. I had sent out a handful of updates to customers that were affected along the way, and kept them up to date. Everyone, I don't think I got one real negative response after it. A lot of really positive comments about how much communication there was and how happy they were and how different of a experience this was compared to said prior provider. So never like to have an outage, but it was nice to get some positive feedback.
That's what I was going to say. And that's the only reason why I know about the outage, because it was on social media. So the mayor didn't know anything about it, I'm sure. But everything was pretty positive about, you know, somebody didn't know why the outage. So maybe they hadn't checked their email, but people were like, oh, they've been communicating. They sent out notice. And so it was very positive and appreciative, I think, the communication. So great job.
Yeah, great job. I don't think Comcast has ever sent me a notice when my internet's out, so that's a huge step. And Brad, I was going to tease you that you sent them an email when their internet was out, but then I realized everybody has cellular data service too, so I can't do that.
As I was sending it, I was thinking about that, but
I got my email right away from Brad. Right away. Of course, I wasn't home, so I sent it to my wife, and she's like, "Yep, it's out."
Yeah, we're toying with the idea of a text message notification option as well. So I think it was good feedback. You know, you never, like I said, you never like to have outages, but I think the overly communicative about the outage helped us in a lot of ways. So
awesome. Other questions, comments for Joe and his team?
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm on the phone. I'm having mic problems, so Brad's going to fix it tomorrow. It's scheduled to be fixed. I just wanted the council to know that, so I was watching you guys talking, but it wasn't going anywhere. I just want the council to know this area where we have the water leak is the third or fourth water leak in the last 4 years, and it's all the same issues every time. So even though it's only 20 years old and we are, you know, we look at 75 years for a pipe to 100 years, there's a good possibility that we're going to have to go in and make some improvements in this area in the next 10 years or so, because at this rate, it's the same saddle issues that Joe had mentioned. They're a single band across the pipe, which they don't have the durability, and that was what was put in back when that subdivision went in. So I'm not certain that it's the whole entire subdivision or just a certain part, but that's 3 leaks in less than a half a block. So just so you keep that on the radar as we move forward.
Great comment and perspective. Thank you, Craig. Yeah, they should last.
Sorry about that, Joe.
No, that's okay. I didn't know you were having mic problems and put you on the spot. So
yeah, no problem. Yep.
Because I knew there was more to the story. So
no, you answered it perfectly fine.
And if no other questions for Joe and his team, council announcements. Who'd like to start? Or not everyone has to say anything. It's the start of the year, other than Happy New Year.
I'll start.
Very good.
Not much to say. Just my 2 assignments. Police Advisory Board last meeting is still going through policies, which I think is a great exercise to go through with the Police Advisory Board. And then they worked on their year-end SWOT analysis for the boards and commissions, something or other that we might have virtually or however that's going to be. Coming up with Community Development Block Grant. We're getting ready for our presentations of the applications. So that'll be the end of this month. And then I would say kudos to Julia and her staff, but that was already said. Everybody said that, but kudos to Kristen and her staff. I just think downtown looked gorgeous this holiday season. And we heard so many comments about the lights at Cannery Square and the lights on the trees. And it was just beautiful. Somebody said today, like, can't we just leave the lights on the trees year round? It looks so nice down there. But so I don't know, the outfit that the company that we contracted with for the Cannery Square and by City Hall, that they just did really a great job. So kudos to you and your staff for thinking outside the box and getting our downtown all festive for the holiday season. So
thank you. And we are going to leave up a few of the lights, the festoons, for a little bit longer in Cannery Square.
Oh, nice.
Yay.
Awesome.
What's a festoon?
It's the round cafe looking lights, but you can program them to change colors. So kind of those big round clear ones that you usually see in restaurants, but they're a little bit fancier. Programmable.
I learned something new.
Yes. All right. Well,
The
thank
mayor
you.
likes fancy.
Yeah, that's that defines me. Yeah.
Is it
'Cause I
too
knew
late
what a
to take
fast
back
food
the?
was.
Is it too late to take back the nomination? Is it too late for that? Just kidding, Tim.
It's too late. Russell, what do you
Right.
have?
We had the Parks Board meeting last night, and we went through, that SWOT analysis as well. It was fairly similar to what they came up with last year. And I did indicate that, and Kristen mentioned this as well at the meeting, that what that particular board, what they put down will be sent to council, and at some point we will review it. So I would like them to know that we will do that, probably in conjunction with goal setting and looking back on last year and those kinds of things. So that's it. Just we had that meeting. The big thing right now is the Parks and Rec Master Plan. Also, Jason Waters came and gave us an update, another update. It's like the 27th update, on the Cedar Creek Trail, which is always wonderful. And he indicated that we had reached some kind of a cool milestone. I think it was construction, or Kristen, what was it? It was like, hey, he showed us this thing on the web, and I for some reason I missed the importance of it, but it was a big deal. So way to go, Jason. That's it. That's all I got.
Like it's out to bid documents.
Was that what it was, Kristen? Was that?
I believe the document last night was a permit that has been issued and signed off on. But yes, we're opening bid documents beginning of February. I'm thinking February 4th, but don't hold me to it.
Yeah, something like that.
So.
And the big milestone there. So the permit was sort of the last milestone hurdle. We are scheduled through ODOT now to open the bids. So that part, without having something actually scheduled, we couldn't definitively say, we had our targets and our windows and things like that, but it's feeling pretty certain at this point. So that's good.
That's awesome.
Here.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thanks, Russell. Renee, anything?
I don't really have much either. Both of my assignments, we're working on the SWOT analysis as well. I do want to say a shout out to the Senior Center and all those who helped make sure that the seniors had a great Christmas. There were several that were adopted by community members, so wonderful. And both the Senior Center and the library continue to serve the community well and go above and beyond their call of duty to make sure that we're taken care of. Happy 2021, and thank you, staff, for all that you're doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Renee. Sean?
Yeah, I don't have a lot either. Met with the Cultural Arts Committee recently here. They're continuing to do some great work, adjusting to doing these meetings on Zoom. They're definitely more of a in-person social group, so they've adjusted well to doing this remotely. Yeah, other than that, just, glad to be back for a second term. Thanks to the voters of Sherwood for bringing us all back. I think, as Tim had mentioned earlier, it means a lot to all of us, I know, and it's a real good sign that our citizens think we're doing a good job representing them. So I appreciate that. Looking forward to 4 more years of serving the community, and hope everybody had a great holiday. Stay safe out there, and take a look. See if you can find a blood drive out there. If you're up and willing, there's always a need for blood donations, and I've done a couple during this pandemic so far, and they're very safe and taking every precaution. Joe, I know, does a lot of blood donations as well, and is nodding his head in agreement. So there's not a lot that gets me out of the house these days, but blood donations would be one of them. So if you can help out, please do. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, good shout out to the Red Cross. I saw the mobile unit here in town yesterday, and I didn't see a lot of vehicles around, so I pulled over and said, "Is there an opening before you're done?" And they go, "No, we're booked solid." So credit to our community that they are stepping up as well. So I'm going to go to my my app to schedule a future one. Doug, do you have any update you want to share today?
Real brief. Planning Commission obviously hasn't met over the last few weeks. There is not a public hearing meeting on next Tuesday, but there is a work session working on comprehensive plan updates, and they're also working on residential housing code updates to be in compliance with the House Bill 2001 that passed back in year before last, I guess. So there's work on that going on. There'll be a work session next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and there'll be some online interaction from the community, some survey requests that are going to go out, so where you can weigh in and give us input on your preferences for some housing preferences as we move into HB 2001 compliance. So be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug. Tim.
Yep, I got a couple of things, but I'll keep it brief. Well, first of all, I just want to mention I haven't had a school board meeting since we were in the last, we had our last council meeting, but I do want to mention that tomorrow night, the school board is having a work session that will be broadcast on YouTube, and they will be discussing reopening. As most of you know, the governor has basically told the schools that they can control their own destiny in terms of when they reopen. So they're going to be having their first public conversations about what that looks like for the Sherwood School District. So if you're interested, tune in. I also want to congratulate our mayor, Keith Mays. He is now officially the president of the League of Oregon Cities. Clap, everyone. But that's, for those of you that are listening to this, that's huge for Sherwood. The League of Oregon Cities is the main lobbying group that lobbies Salem on issues that are important to cities like us. And having our mayor as the president of the LOC gives us a lot of, I don't want to say power in that, but we're at the table, as we're talking about issues, and that's important. It's important to Sherwood. Although I'm sure, Keith, you're going to represent all the cities in Oregon as you do that work.
Absolutely, but it is nice that our governor knows who I am, as well as our the leadership in the House and Senate. So thank you, Tim. Anything else? Did you want to add, or was that your conclusion of your notes?
Well, that and I was Kim stole my thunder, but I'm going to say it anyways. I really appreciate all the work that has done to put up all the Christmas lights downtown. It's beautiful. My kids loved it. It's just great driving downtown all the time. And I would be in favor of leaving the lights up in the trees year round. Just saying. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's worthy of some thought, I guess I would say.
There's this whole thing when they put leaves on them and that whole growth spurt. And
it just looks
about
nicer.
Other than that, you're right. It definitely adds a lot.
Talk about it. Craig's he's listening. We can have a conversation. So that's not the first time I've heard that suggestion. So
you don't have to put them back up next year.
Awesome. Just a couple quick things. Thanks, Tim. I might have done this in the last year, but again, I want to thank all of our members of our volunteer members of our boards and commissions. We have permanent standing boards and commissions, and we have these temporary ones. Add them all up, it's a lot of people, and they do a lot of good work for our community, supporting, helping city council and city staff. And normally we do get together and thank everyone personally, but because of this pandemic thing, we couldn't do that this year. So a big shout out. If you know someone that volunteers in our community in any way, but because I'm biased at the moment with our city, please thank them, because they take time out of their week, out of their month, out of their day, away from their family and their job to help all of us. So greatly appreciated. Because Lord knows we do not have all the ideas and all the perspectives, and get more of the people, the barrier, and helps us continue to be a great community. On this, all in the same vein, we've talked about it, but certainly want to thank all of our city staff, all of our departments for the great work they did last year through the 9 months of the pandemic and before, all the hard work over the holidays, you know, the downtown decorations, the dealing with everything over the holidays, weather-wise, service-wise, trying to work it all out with lots of holidays. You know, it's a time of personal times off. People want to take longer than just the Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and to accommodate that, but then still do the business of the community. It's greatly appreciated. All the great work in the library. We actually got the report that showed the level of checkout. What's the word, Renee? The usage.
Circulation.
Thank you. The circulation rate. We had the lowest reduction of any library in Washington County, which is a huge credit to our staff being flexible and adaptable to still provide those resources to the community during these challenging times. Great job. And the senior center to do all the meals that they're doing, and the special holiday meals, because I know people that got them and they really love them. And the economic development efforts, we might have mentioned it last time, but to do some of those grants to get the money to our businesses, we had staff that actually worked weekends, that normally don't work weekends. And just so everyone does know that's greatly appreciated by those businesses and by everyone on council and the community as well. So kudos all the way around. And the feds did pass the new stimulus grant legislation, and the chamber today had a webinar to help businesses understand what is available to them, and they've recorded it and it's on their website, and we might even have a link in our economic development page to it, so we can go to the city website. So if you own a business in town, or own, operate, manage a business in general, use that tool, that resource, to make sure you're not missing out on support options, grants, loans that are now available to you as we get through this stuff. And hopefully within months, preferably weeks, we're going to get to a state of vaccination, certainly with our vulnerable members of our community, that businesses can open up more and more and life can return to a new normal more and more as time goes on. So that's all I got.
I will say the vaccinations are hitting Sherwood, because the residents at the Springs will be getting theirs on Thursday.
Ah,
yes.
That's great.
Yes. So residents and staff. So
that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Anything else for the good of the order that you might have thought of while I was rambling? Or awesome. Stay safe. Happy New Year. And see you in 2 weeks.